Just ain't doing it for me right now. Hey, yo, Mock! Can you get me that lover boy I've been needing?
Oh, yeah. Is this, that's what you were looking for, Ash?
One of them, you know.
One of them. Well, that's the only one I got. Phil's not here right now.
Yeah, he's probably
okay?
happy. He's probably actually happy about that.
Yeah, he's having a great time not having to listen to you.
Truth.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
I'm actually really glad that you asked me to do this because, like I said, our friendship just goes beyond.
It goes beyond.
I'd say so.
Yeah? Well, I wouldn't, but, you know. You're allowed to have your own perspective.
Once again, just always being a dick as usual. Kind of like the Big Brother vibes as usual. Kind of my time going into Sutries. So.
You love it.
I do love it.
You do. I'm glad to have you on too because I've been trying to get you for weeks.
I know you have actually.
Yeah.
You really have. I've been doing research on it, been doing things. He knows being a teacher, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, especially this year, I've been on a whole new kick on boundaries, and you know that. So I've just been doing so much at school and not making plans very well. But then when I have time to make some plans, let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's why I'm glad you stick on it. You're good about the problem I've been having is two major things. Is one, I have this not newer car, but where I have a Bluetooth system. If I have my Bluetooth on, and if I have a message that goes up, I can choose to either read it or ignore it. Most of the times I just don't like to be bothered when I'm in the car because I'm a grandma.
Yeah.
And I like to drive and actually be safe.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, that's not the worst thing.
It's not the worst thing, but people make fun of me for it. So usually I just press the ignore. But what I've come to find out is if you press the ignore button on my phone.
Does it also basically register it as red?
It shows as red. Okay. And so if you're like me, unfortunately not that I'm that popular, I just get a lot of messages. So you should see, like, if I get something that like that happens where it's red in a day, like I get disgusting amounts of text messages. So it's like, if I've read it, it's gone. So that's the first major issue. The second thing is once again, if I've read it and I don't respond and something happens, I'm done. Yeah. It's a pretty good excuse, but
no, it is. Yeah.
It works. I mean, like I said, to be honest, back in the day, I felt like I was more not even self-aware, probably I don't know this word, insecure about making sure like, oh, I'm going to respond to everyone.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't think I'm ignoring them.
What would be non-self-insecure?
Wait.
Because I feel like insecure is a self thing.
I guess you're right. I think I was thinking more like inner, so I kind of put it together.
Yeah.
You're right, non-self. You're right.
I'm more self-insecure.
You're gonna call me out my what do you call that?
Teacher.
I was about to say, what do you call that? The double negative a little bit. Like once again, this is why I teach pre-K second grade and not more complex things.
Yeah, you don't teach college, do you?
No, but it's funny because what's funny, that's what I was aimed at was college level, either post-secondary special ed or high school level. So yeah, don't judge me on that.
But it's good.
You put me on
where you're at.
That's the other thing, which people will find out that
it's just one person listening. I think it's just Miranda.
Oh well, I'm sure Philip. No,
it says
Philip
23 subscribers, but I'm pretty sure she just made 23 accounts.
Well, maybe Jeffrey will like zoom through it. Same with Philip. So you're right.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna kind of
they'll watch it on mute.
Yeah. Yes. And act like they watch it. So when I look back in the history, it's
it's there.
No, look at you. See, once again, I'm just so used to you assholes. So I don't know. Back on the self-insecure or just insecure.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, I think I've gotten to this point, and I think turning 30. I know that is annoying, but everyone said when you turn 30. It's just different. And it kind of is. Like, I've just kind of gotten to this state really this whole last year of just not caring is a bad thing to say, but more like, yo, if you miss someone's text message and you don't respond and you genuinely have missed it, like, don't let someone make you feel insecure about it.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about it.
I mean,
things happen,
Yeah.
People have to be understanding.
And I think I'm realizing I cared more about that than I ever knew.
Yeah. About how it was perceived when you did that.
Yeah. Which is stupid.
I feel like that's, yeah, I mean, everybody, you know,
Like, who
I feel like,
cares?
yeah. But I mean, it takes time to, you know.
I don't know how I got into that, but
I don't either, but here we are.
that's how it's going to turn out. So who knows, Poppy?
I don't know. And it's Deadbeat Dad.
We're going to go with Poppy today.
So.
It's my inner Philip coming out when he gets drunk. He's gonna love this. I'm talking about when he gets drunk. You know, when he's drunk,
Yeah.
when he gets the high pitched laugh,
The
which is my
high-pitched
favorite.
laugh, yeah.
But then the other one is that he'll start referring to himself as Poppy, and he'll like look over with his little squinty eye, and he'll go, "Poppy wants pizza."
I don't think I've heard the Poppy before.
No, pay attention to it because you probably have.
I've heard I maybe have, but didn't realize.
You probably yes.
The high pitched laugh though. So I think the
best.
first time was like one of Justin's meet and greets or Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was probably one of the Thanksgivings, honestly.
And I remember one of the things I loved that night was we were making a big thing of mashed potatoes, and like I think I have a video of you like mashing the potatoes.
We put we put the most ingredients I've ever seen ever in just mashed potatoes.
Yeah, but Phil was freaking out.
He was
losing. He was having a bit of a panic attack. It's like it's too much. It's
still
so
talks
much.
about them.
But then, I mean, it was delicious.
Well, and then you have Alexis was there that day. But then not only that, it was funny this year for Thanksgiving. Every year for Thanksgiving since then, when Jeffrey has made the mashed potatoes, he literally has said he's gone, okay, like you can add things, but not like the time over at Justin's where he had like I gotta think what he would say, like how he would.
Funny, yeah.
Yeah, it was good. They were damn good potatoes. So,
yeah.
so I mean, I'm not
but it was a lot in there. But it was hilarious.
Like ranch, there was like so many cheeses.
Justin just kept
so
throwing
much butter
things in there.
Philip, but yeah, everything that made him Philip would just go, oh, like what? You can't do the laugh. You can't do the laugh. He's gonna love this. He's gonna be so embarrassed.
Gosh.
I can see him blushing now about it.
I love it. I love it.
It is the best laugh. I'll put
maybe
that
when we get him on, you have to give me something that'll be funny enough to him to try and get him to do the laugh.
First off, the Poppy will be good. So if we make sure, what if we just act like we didn't put this out?
Yeah.
Or maybe let's try
just
to get him in here.
Don't tell him.
Yeah, because then he'll hear this, and that'll be hilarious.
I'll just figure out how to block it on YouTube just for him.
You can. I can show you. We can block it from Jeffrey's and his.
Okay.
Because Jeffrey, I don't mind. Jeffrey can watch it. But that's what's on our Fire TV. It's all Jeffrey's stuff.
Yeah.
So, yes, for those of you that don't know, I live with my boyfriend and my brother. Who would ever think that? Great idea. It's actually great, but. No, that'd be fine. You could just refer to him as Poppy the whole time, like very
Poppy.
casually.
Yeah.
Like just be like.
I think that's just what I'm going to call him from now on.
Yes, you should Poppy. And I don't know why it does. Poppy wants pizza.
Poppy wants pizza. I love that.
And it's always Da Vinci's pizza too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all had that time. He just wasn't here during that college time. When I say that, he didn't go to college, but like that age when we'd all get wasted. You go to Southbound Hannah's.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Do that whole old city circuit.
Yes. And then you go to Da Vinci's, which has to be an undercover drug deal, just saying, because they're only open for that short period of time. And like, I don't know, have you ever had Da Vinci sober?
No.
Unfortunately, Philip has. That's the problem. But that's the other thing. Like, it's not great.
I feel like it can't be good sober.
Is the best wasted. Though.
Yeah. Well, so is Waffle House, but
I actually like Waffle House sober too, though.
Really?
But you're also talking to the girl that like lives off Taco Bell.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't know if you know. Like people are always like, how does that not hurt you? And I'm like, I am one with Taco Bell.
Yeah. I feel like Taco Bell affects us differently, though.
That's what I feel like everyone says.
I just get fatter and fatter, and you just stay the same size, it seems, no matter what.
Which is it's a true blessing. I will say that because I eat real not great. real
not great.
Like I crave, like I said, Taco Bell is my thing. Like I crave things. So with that, but I wouldn't say I'm an unhealthy person. I don't go and work out, but like I talk a lot. That burns a lot of calories.
You do talk a lot. Do you talk in your sleep?
I do.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
It's actually funny you say that.
I just imagine you're like, whereas a shark, if it stops swimming, it dies. I imagine an Ashley, if it stops talking for too long, it dies.
I don't know. You'd actually have to ask Philip about that because he hasn't brought up, I don't know, maybe he just doesn't bring it up anymore, but I couldn't be on certain sleep medicines. I'm not on them anymore, but because they said I had such an active, like whatever, like they were like, yeah, you could like get up and drive probably on some of these sleep medicines. So I was like, oh, okay, well, let's not do that.
Oh yeah, that's a little risky.
Yeah, but that's funny you say that. Yeah. But no, honestly, I really do think it has a lot to do with the job. People say that, but it is, when I say like I don't go and work out, like I really don't. And that is annoying to eat all of this ridiculously disgusting food.
Yeah.
And just love it. And not like, I'm sure like my insides are probably not as healthy as I probably should, but like I stay pretty, like I said, I'm not strong, well, once again, in shape. But I really do think it has a lot to do with my job. I rarely am sitting down.
Because you're on your feet all your
Yes. I mean, I'm running after those kids. I love those kids. I'm also like the cool, lame teacher that is on the playground running around. I just have a fun time. Why not? If we're going to be there, let's just have a good time. What's that saying? I'm going to mess it up. You can't, like, it's the don't half-ass anything, like the whole, oh, shit. Oh, I'm gonna have to Google it.
You really half-assed that expression.
Yes, I did. It's like you can't.
Yep.
Oh shit! Like the whole ass heart thing. Don't half-ass anything, or like shit.
I feel like I know the expression.
I know. Do you see?
But you've messed it up so bad.
It's like that.
That I can't think.
We're not going to bring up the guy's name, but it's like the guy's name. Okay. Let's see. I'm literally Googling half-ass quote.
Half-ass quote.
Okay, yeah, the never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing.
Okay, there it is.
Thank you. Do you see where I got a little, like, screwed up there?
Fine, we'll definitely edit it
like it's a very...
you never made a
no,
mistake.
You can leave it. That's
I'm definitely leaving it.
That's another thing, is once again, my flaws are what make me great. What did we say earlier? You just have to choose. You can't have a choice, but you're going to end up loving me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember saying that. I think I said, no matter what, people will hate you, just like me. Okay, well then, no. I think it was Justin. We'll put Justin Morrison in that. You will make that a big shout. You said that you love me. Oh, okay. So, yeah. Love me. I've never said that to you. But like, you have to earn my love, and I'm pretty sure you damn well said that to me outside. At least you co-signed it. Well, it wasn't on camera, and that could be very conceited of me. There's no proof of it. There's no proof that I was ever nice to you. I feel like that's a little conceited of me, but like, you love me. No, I do love you. Okay, good. Yeah. That's what I thought. No, well, I mean, we've talked about. So let's get into this. So one of the things, while I was, trying to get you to come on the show. Yes. Was you talked about how, because you're a teacher, and people have certain ways that they think that a teacher should act, and this and that. Yes. How much can you be Ashley? Yes. While still representing the school and what you do well and everything. Yes, that is a constant struggle. We talk about that a lot, and it's funny because you're right. That was a big thing that was hard about wanting to come on here, because perfect example. Yeah. Just me cussing in this, like I made an executive choice. Like I'm going to be a little choosy with my words, but like at the same time, I'm 30 years old. I'm an adult. Yeah. I am allowed to do what I want to do off the clock. Like once again, drink alcohol or say cuss words like that. I am. You want to have a lover boy on the side? You can. Yes. Yes, that's what I want. Sorry, Philip. Sorry, Philip. Sorry, Poppy. Poppy. Sorry, Poppy. I got my lover boy. Pizza. Yeah. Maybe you can go get some later. But no, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of like, it's always been a constant struggle. It's actually been a constant struggle when it comes to like my parents as well. Like, I mean, anyone that knows me, like I am a pretty vulgar individual, not in general. That's just me. Yeah. Who I am. You're gross. Yeah. No. No, I'm pretty like expressive is a good word. You are animated and expressive is a good word. Yeah. And like I made a decision when I decided to move from, not when I decided, but when I moved from Washington to here. Like, you move across the country, you can really choose to be whoever you want. Like in reality, and this is the one you chose, huh? Keep going. You're great. We love you. I think I'm great. So no. But that's like, I mean, really, like I really could have just been like, I can act like someone completely different, whatever. But I actually truly mean that I chose to be as authentic
as I could to me, if that makes sense. Like, once again, I hope like I don't sound like I'm like tooting my own horn or something like that. It's just, I really made an executive decision to kind of like be who I am and what I want to be. And like, obviously as the years have gone on, like I've evolved that to even more like, be you, do you, girl. Like, I have like this inner, my grandmother, my meme, she had this saying, like, if you got it, flaunt it. And that's like been my new like thing. Like, don't worry about what other people are thinking about it. Like, I do tend to like care a lot about what my parents think, what my job thinks and stuff like that. And once again, for good reason. The boundaries that you put on it. And you should have those boundaries in life, your morals, your expectations, your ethics, all of that. But yeah, it is, loop back, once again, my elongated responses. It's kind of figuring out my worth, and specifically with the job, we're in a teacher shortage right now. And you get to this place where it's not that the ball is in my court right now, but like, I do think societally we have this expectations of teachers, what they should or shouldn't do. I'm not going to get into all that, putting my own boundaries on it. But like, at the end of the day, I'm still a human being, and what society thinks teachers should or should not be. And once again, we are just not getting paid enough for you to tell me what you think I should be. Like, I'm coming in and I'm loving your children more than anything in this world. And that really is all that should matter. Like, there's other stuff, but that is really what should matter. So if I want to come home,
it's a very core thing.
Yes. And drink my drinks. If I want to come home when I'm not in front of your children, in front of my coworkers and all this stuff, and I'm not on the clock, I can come home and say shit. An asshole. And like, you know what I mean? And like, shit, I get asshole. It. Yes. But it is funny. It's part of the reason, like, a lot of people don't know. Like, I work in one city, which isn't far from here, but then I purposely live in a different city, because I do have that anxiety of like, if I'm out having drinks, not that like I'm ridiculous, mock, that's a sidebar. Term. That's a sidebar. A lot of these boys, unfortunately, Suttrie's has become my safe spot, but it's really because of these boys here, whether my brother's there or not. If I feel like I'm a little too intoxicated, the moment I feel too intoxicated, I like to go to my safe place. I won't drink and drive. So like, I will go someplace where I know I'm safe. So these boys, unfortunately, have seen, which thankfully you guys have never said them too bad, but like, thank gosh. With that, you got to let loose. My job is demanding, and it is, I got to let things out. And if I choose to have beverages and get a little loose, it stresses me out thinking I could run into parents, and not that it should matter, but like, it only takes one set of parents or one coworker that does not agree with drinking, or does not. And once again, I know I'm making judgment.
Insert X, right? Whatever variable.
That you then get this judgment put on you, and then it somehow turns into that you must not be good at your job. Like, or you know what I mean? Because it's
somehow there's this correlation that's made.
And when I say that, I'm making pretty blanket statements, but like, it's not an abnormal thing. Like, I'm not the only teacher that feels that way. But like I said, I've gotten into this year, once again, back to like the ball being in my court as a teacher, where like, I am setting those boundaries. And that's kind of where coming on this podcast was good for me, because like I said, I'm still not going to say everything to the full Ashley Court extent, because once again, I do think there's boundaries. Because I do value my job and what I do.
So, but I think the thing in this, because, you know, I mean, you brought up, you know, you have it with, you know, say parents, you know, work, you know, all these different areas, is that you were talking about, you know, and coming on this, you're setting your own boundaries. And so I think that boundaries, I think, are good, like, but at a certain point, like, I don't know how good they are, boundaries set on you versus the boundaries you set for yourself.
Do you know what totally I mean? Agree, because there's a hard line, because the boundaries that, like, once again, bring up my parents, like, my hard morals and ethics come from the boundaries that they have helped me set.
Which I think as a child, you need boundaries set around you, right?
Trust me, I'm a teacher.
You need boundaries. Can't set those boundaries yourself. You need expectations
and boundaries. Like, that's the biggest thing. And so there's that, and that's what you base off of. But then, just like you said, then you kind of feel like a little boxed for a little bit, because then that was my issue. And I look back on it, it's not even a bad issue. It was actually a great thing, because I actually did not do a lot of things, which in the hindsight was good. But I always looked back at, like, what would my parents think? Specifically my dad. I'm very close to my parents, but my dad, you know, has these very high expectations and morals and ethics for me, which is great. I love that. And I take that to the core of me. But there's things, like I said, it was constantly like, I mean, what would my dad think? Like, is he going to, like, how upset would he be if I, like, made this decision? Hindsight 2020, a lot of those decisions I didn't do, thank gosh. Like, but there's some, like, real
so but there's some maybe that would have been good experiences, right? And so you look at it weighed, you know. It's saved you from some stuff, like, but it's possibly you missed out on some stuff as well.
Perfect example is like things like this, a podcast. Not that my parents have ever told me not to do that, but like we looping back to it, talking about being your true authentic self. Like, once again, to not come off conceited, cocky, or whatever, but like, I think I can be pretty damn funny when I'm genuinely just like having a good conversation. And when I say I think I'm being funny, it's just, excuse my language, but the shit that happens in my life and my job, it's just like, you can't make it up. And it's hilarious. Like, I wish I could walk around with a camera attached to my forehead because it's just funny. But once again, there's just things I feel like I'm not legally, one, you just can't talk about because these are children, people's lives, things like that. But then other stuff, it's just like, I don't want to get judged for talking about something the way I would normally, genuinely, vulgarly talk about it. Like, I get compared to, a best way to explain it for the audience. Who was it? Miranda. That was like Miranda. I got compared a lot to growing up, Jenna Marbles.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I vaguely know who that is.
If not, you should pop a little clip in there of just something of her, because people do, like, she like was pretty famous on YouTube. She was one of those original YouTube people, but she was hilarious, but she was very vulgar, and she's actually very smart. She had like a psychology degree and all this stuff, but like, she was great, and she kind of get a lot of hate for being pretty vulgar, but that's why people also liked her. Yeah. So
it's kind of like the Howard Stern effect, you know? Yeah. Right? You know, I mean, there's people that hate it. It was
like Chelsea Handler, you know what I mean? People hate
and I mean, that's going to happen, but the people that like it really like it.
Yes.
You know. So, but yeah. I mean,
so making those new boundaries, but then, side note, relapping back to I'm good at this, by the way. I'm a teacher. I can remember what you've asked. I can go off. I can go back. That's fine. Then, so talking about the boundaries that are set, not only that, then you go back to, why are we even setting boundaries? Yeah. Like, that's another thing. Like, is that my own insecurity of,
why you're setting,
should I care what anyone else thinks?
To think that,
like, about, like,
question it,
like, I really, and it's maybe not just, I guess I should just say me, because I was like people, but really me, it's like, am I setting these
but basically you have to talk from your experience. But I think that people in general, we share a lot of experiences, so I understand when
so would you say you set boundaries? Okay, could you agree with this then? Would you say that you set boundaries technically for yourself, but really for, I don't know how I'm trying to say this, for the not the outlook of other people, but for other people? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I think that both come into play when you're setting boundaries. Yeah. Because, but I think the perspective at which you're setting the boundary can be different, right? So you can set a boundary because you're worried about how other people are going to perceive you, right? You can also set a boundary in the sense of, so like, you know, you talked about with, you know, cussing and things like that. You were wondering, you know, what am I going to do on the podcast? So for me, one of the things that I've kind of decided, you know, I'm setting as a boundary for me is, if the other person, I'm basically going to follow the lead.
You follow, which is a great interview.
So if that other person cuss, fine, I'll cuss. You know, if that other person doesn't, I will not. And you know, and so I'm setting it out of respect for their perspective, and not from a place of I'm worried or anything. So I think that's more of a healthy kind of look at the boundary, whereas I would say the one where you're worried about how someone's going to perceive you is an unhealthy or kind of boundary.
Well, and you know what? To loop it on back again, is you basically just said what it is almost to be a teacher. Like, that is part of being a teacher, is perceiving what the other person's doing. Like, once again, like, I know my audiences. Like, I'm not sitting here cussing up a storm in front of, like, you know, my grandma, your grandma, like when I meet my boyfriend's parents, like things like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm not in my classroom, like, shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, but that's the thing. And that's another thing I think what's hard about the perception of a teacher, because yes, like, I can do all of that and I'm teaching these morals and ethics and stuff like that, but I should be allowed to do what I want to do when I get home.
Yeah. Yeah. So so do you think, because I mean, I just have this kind of general belief that there's a lot of things that are like opposites in life.
Okay.
That are the same. And
okay.
That's very confusing for us.
Okay.
You know, so like one of the things like I first kind of saw that with is I'm like, you know, like my dad, where I'm like, how are we so the same and yet so different?
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
And so
I see what you're saying.
You know, and then you also have you know, things like, you know, you look at race, right? You know, like we're the same. Underneath, we're human beings, right? But we look different, and that's confusing for people.
Yes. Okay. I see what you're saying.
I don't remember why I brought this up now.
We were talking about things being the opposite.
Yeah, I knew that.
What
were you saying before that, though?
About the perception of being a teacher, and just about how, like, when I get home, I should be able. So I think what you're getting is, like,
so what I was getting,
it messes with people. Someone that is so vulgar.
They think that this should be, and so they don't see how two can exist as one.
Oh, and I get it. I mean, it's especially really hard with this generation, especially of not only Gen Z teachers, but millennial teachers, because, like, let's be real. I mean, the teachers that we all grew up with, and I hate to, like I said, make a blanket statement, but we all had the same kind of teachers. They all kind of looked the same. They all kind of did the same things. You know, I mean, we were all taught the same. We're in this new age and era of education, which is really cool. A little confusing for some of us that are older, but like where there's a million ways to teach things. And it's cool that we can teach things while we still are in this box and we have to teach this. Like, we have more free range. And once again, because I'm a special education teacher, I get a little bit more free range because like I can do a little bit more with my students. But what was I getting at?
So we were initially talking about.
No, but there was a reason why I was getting to that. Shoot, I hate when I did that. Sorry, I was looking at the dog.
No, I literally just did the same
I know.
thing.
Shoot, we just went on each other's.
So you followed my. Are you just doing this to make me not feel as dumb?
Make better. You know,
because you mentioned before, you were like, "Oh yeah, teacher, I just loop right back around."
You know, it happens. That happens. But it's. Oh, I know what I was gonna say is these new teachers coming in, like, they just have this way, like, not only that, like, I mean, let's think about this too. Like, back in the day, you couldn't even have tattoos to be a teacher. Not in everywhere, but in a lot of states, a lot of countries, a lot of counties, it just wasn't happening. It was really hard for men to be teachers, things like that. I hope no one like fact checks me on these things, but you know what I mean. It's just
Miranda, don't fact check her.
Please don't.
I took care of the entire audience.
Cool. We'll put like a little disclaimer at the bottom. Please don't.
These are all just her opinions.
Yeah, my opinion.
Real dumb. All right.
So the thing is like we have this new age of teachers that not only look different. So we do have an older generation that are kind of like, woo, who are these teachers? Yeah. But then like they have this new view. So like, it is like we are in this new place. So I think we are in a weird transitional era. Once we all know this in life, politically, history, we are just in a weird era. But like what's cool about it is like, I mean, it is hard though, because it makes me feel better. I'm on teacher TikTok. And when I say that, do you ever go on TikTok?
I've never been on TikTok. I'm sure eventually.
So annoying, addicting. Like it's so great.
I'll do it.
But with that, like you get on there and like when you start liking things, you get the For You page and it like starts like figuring out like the things that you like.
Yeah, the algorithm takes over.
And so it's like teacher TikTok has taken over my algorithm. Duh. Okay. With that, like I've seen a lot of stuff that makes me feel good, but it also kind of hits what you're getting at. Like a lot of teachers, like where there's a TikTok where it'll be like a guy or a girl, whoever, in the car, and it says like 5:30 in the morning in the car, and they're listening to like some gangster thug nasty rap, like you know, like me, like getting it, like and then like it goes to like 6:05 or 6:03, and it's them in the classroom. It's just on them. And they're going like A B, like they're singing like their song and stuff. Like this is like what we do because it is. I mean, like. Yeah.
You just flip a switch and it's like, all right.
It's a weird, you're right. I think it's a hard concept. I think it's a hard concept for me to understand. There was memes that went around forever that I always joke about because we all know I always wear my little crop tops and my little things because that's just me. Yeah. And I'm not going to change that just because I'm a teacher. Saying, because it's all you see is midriff. First off, let's talk about it. If you wear high-waisted pants and then a crop top, all you see is that. Okay, it's just an illusion, friends. I'm not showing off that much more skin. Okay, just it's a style, it's a fashion. Okay,
it's a vibe.
But yeah, so like, and once again, I shouldn't even care what I'm out wearing because it shouldn't matter. I'm not teaching at that time, but I'll be out in my little crop top, whatever. And when I was going to college, and it was either when I was in my undergraduate program or in my graduate program, it took forever. There was memes that were going around that it was funny because it was when a lot of millennials, probably a couple of the older Gen Zs were going and graduating from school. So a lot of people were starting to graduate with their degrees, and people were seeing like, oh, there's a lot of teachers, things like that. Elongated story, back to the meme. It was something like, it's so funny. Like, it was a meme about like, it's so funny thinking about where all of our teachers back in the day out and about running around with crop tops, drinking margaritas and twerking like on the weekends and then coming in and it's like, maybe they weren't.
Probably. At least some of them.
I mean, I like to go out. I like to dance.
Just people still.
I mean, once again, you're right. Like, there's just, and how you have such a high expectation for a group of people that like, you don't even pay anything.
Yeah.
Like, I would be a little less like, I probably care a little bit more. When I say I care more about teaching more than anything in this world, but I care a little more what people thought if I was getting paid like $100,000.
Yeah. Okay. So this leads into, I think, so I had asked you a question based on, where, it's well documented, the sacrifices teachers make to be teachers.
Yes.
But I had asked you, what sacrifices would you have to make to not be a teacher? Like for you.
And that was hard for me because to get me away from teaching.
Yeah.
Like to see, that is so hard. I mean, and once again, no judgment to any of the teachers out there.
But this is,
well, like when I say this to all the teachers out there, like that have been quitting because I am all about, like I said, I'm all about it right now. Like I'm in a huge, a lot of people that are close to me know this. I think you may know this, because like I said, we're very close at this point.
If not, I'll know it by the time these people see it.
Well, and that's the thing. It's nothing to hide, but like a lot of people don't know that part of the reason why boundaries have came up is these last couple of years of teaching have been very, very hard. I'm a 5th year now, but I started in COVID. So like, it's just been a lot.
Yeah.
And with that, like I started balding. Did I tell you that?
I don't think so.
I actually started balding on the side of my head, and it was like a pretty big spot. And there was a lot of things, which that's a whole nother talk that was wrong with it. But to come find out that it was all stress related.
Yeah.
And it all had to do with my job. And part of it is the fact that people forget that like I don't work with paperwork. I work with human beings. We talk about this all the time. That's one major thing that people just forget. Like, it's not like I can just say, oh no, I don't want to deal with this today. Like, these are living creature, human babies, little babies. And like I said, then you have the special needs on top of that. Like, that just adds a lot to it. And I don't have kids, so they're my kids. Like, and I love them. So with that, got off subject about it. Okay. But I was trying to think why I got that way, because every time I think about that, I went back and forth. And it was funny because you asked me this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, obviously money is the biggest thing, right? Money is the biggest thing. A lot of people don't know I work right now 3 jobs. When I say that loosely, one of them right now, I haven't this last year been working as much because the boundaries and because my hair's growing back because I've been putting boundaries on this year is what I'm getting at too. So that's the other thing when I've realized that is so stressful.
They're ones for you that you need.
Yeah. And so that's been part of it. But then not only that, like just kind of doing my thing. But, financially, like, yes, if I was getting paid more, I couldn't. So yes, I kind of want to say that would be it. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest things and one of the biggest conversations me and my dad had was when I went into college. It was like, listen, you need to my mom went to college straight out the gate and then didn't end up really using her degree and had to go back to school. My dad, like I'm trying to give it a little whatever. Yeah. My dad waited to go to school. Yes. Waited to go to school. Like, I think it was like 5 years. Sorry, wrong guy for messing up all the dates and stuff, but 5 years or something like that. And then went to school And so he took his time and figured out kind of what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And while he actually loved what he got his degree in, like, it's not because he makes good money. It's not actually what he loves.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to school, it was a great transition because I had my mom who went to school, didn't end up doing anything with her degree, had to go back, do that. And then you have my dad who waited a little bit, figured it out, but then still kind of had this outlook of like, I'm fine, I'm set in life, but like, it's not what I love. Yeah. So with that, he sat me down when I got into UT and was just kind of like, listen, you got to be smart about this. Like, you need to, like, if everyone wants to be a liberal arts major, because that would be so much fun, wouldn't it? I mean, like, those would be the best classes in the world to learn about. But like, you got to choose something that at the end of the day, you're going to have a job in and that you will live like off of, you know what I mean? But he was very, very serious about that. You need to make sure that you choose something that you love to do. At the end of the day, it's a job, but you don't want to be upset every day doing it.
It's not worth it.
So that was really what made my call. I kind of went into like random directions when I went into college. I knew I either wanted to be a special education teacher or something in reproductive specialty. So it was very random. Yeah. And I made the decision. I just kind of knew like I was not going to make a lot of money. So I already had the mindset going into special education that I was not going to make a lot of money, but I would be fine.
That wasn't the deciding factor.
No. So that's the first thing. So that kind of took that out for me.
Yeah.
So when I kind of thought that, once again, elongated answer to that, back to the question of what would take for me to sacrifice being a teacher? Probably blanket answer, no matter what, would be my mental health. That I have made this decision from the balding.
Okay. So I think,
yes.
No, I mean, this is a good answer. But so more so what I was saying is like for someone to go into teaching, they have to basically make sacrifices like I'm not going to make as much money and stuff like that. What I'm saying is what would be sacrificed in your life if you were not teaching?
Okay, so then
does that make more sense?
And that's kind of yes, and that's actually originally how I read it, but when you worded it here, it was a little different. So no, it was perfect. No. But my answer still will go for that because the health thing that actually just came to my head. So I was like, that actually, I was about to say what I was gonna say though was, I don't think you could do anything to I don't think I would do anything to get out of this job.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that answers it. Like, I think I was meant to do this.
Well, yeah. And so I think in that, basically, your answer is if you were not doing this, what you would be sacrificing is you wouldn't get to do what you love.
Yes. And not only that.
For you, you were doing.
Now, and let me rephrase this.
You feel like you're supposed to do,
Yes, and let me rephrase it a little bit because it's not just teaching. So I should actually make a time out though, because then you know what? It's not that. Like, that's where the mental, like I said, the mental health, like I may not always be a teacher.
Yeah.
Because it is ridiculous.
But you want to stay in that.
Oh, I will be doing something, whether it be working with people. I mean, it doesn't even have to be special needs, but I definitely have a passion for it. I love it.
Where did that come from?
Oh, well, really, it goes back to my dad. Really, my dad. But ultimately, the big nugget, like that's always been in my head, was it was one of my high school professors. We never call them professors. Teachers. He was.
I'm not putting that much respect on his name.
Yeah. Well, no, that's. Oh shoot! Yeah, that was like professors. Like my high school wasn't that prestige. Like, what are you talking about? No, I was a cheerleader. And we would do, I was a cheerleader.
Oh.
Head cheerleader for 1 year. And we would volunteer at the Buddy Walk. Do you know what the Buddy Walk is? It's a charitable or fundraiser, I guess you could say, walk for Down syndrome.
Okay.
And I went in, and I already knew I kind of wanted to be a teacher. I already was kind of, at that point, my first job ever was an Irish dance instructor. So like I kind of realized at like a young age, I actually enjoyed teaching. Yeah. Like I enjoy, that's kind of where like the managing side came for me. Like I enjoy hiring, training. I like that stuff. Yeah. Like I'm not one of those like selfish people that like, if I have something that I think I'm good at, like I definitely want to like.
Yeah. You want to share it. Yeah.
Do it. Yeah. And then selfishly though, then they get to say that I helped them. No, just kidding when they get big. Yeah. No. So
I'll be unselfish now so I can be selfish later.
Yeah. So we were doing our thing, like face painting, all this stuff. And of course Down syndrome is just, I know you shouldn't say it in this way, but it's just, I love Down syndrome. It is just Oh, so
like
happy.
You love those people.
We got either so angry or so happy, and I love it.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, I'll be loud. I'll be really loud. Once again, sorry. You're gonna love that. So we ended up. My high school teacher was there, and he kind of said something in my ear, which was like, "Ashley, have you ever thought about doing special education?"
Yeah.
I literally had never thought of it at that point.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Huh? You know what? Yeah, this would be good." And it was so funny. Like, that was really it. That's all that put it in me. But
that's all it took. Yeah.
My dad's always been this guy, though, that's just been so, like, I'm sure you've heard my brother say it, like, in all of our friends, it's like Jim Shepperd sayings. It's just such a Jim Shepperd vibe. Because he's always been, like, this very, like, inspirational, like, wise, like, wisdom kind of guy.
Yeah.
And, like, all I can remember, like, and now, which I want to get on this topic with you because I wanted you to watch this TED Talk, actually.
Okay.
So this goes into it. And I've sent this to my dad, too, and we joke about it now. But, like, it was like whenever we were somewhere and there was someone with, like, Down syndrome or a physical disability or something like that, my dad was always the guy that would stop and we would talk and just, like have a conversation, like, oh, like, or like
spend a little time.
Yeah. And like, just like, you're so inspirational. And like, what you do is just like, I think it's great, like, blah, blah, this and that. So that's what I grew up on. So I didn't realize, like, that's just my dad for you. Gosh, I'm giving him a big head over here. I'm sure my poor mom's over here like, I'm like, great. And my mom's the same way, but it's my dad. My dad's just like that. And so that's where it probably just innately came in, but I just really stuck with it.
Yeah.
But what gets into it, and that's also a side note of this TED Talk that I wanted to talk to you about. This oh gosh, I'm gonna mess it up. It's this woman that I saw. I watched it in college and I sent it to my dad, but it's all about. She has a physical disability. I honestly don't know what she has, so I don't even want to say. I'm gonna just assume cerebral palsy, though. I really don't know. She's pretty famous though, so I should know. But she's doing this TED Talk and she talks about how I'm not inspirational. I'm not inspiration. Like, and it's kind of ridiculous that we go into this. Like, she was just, gosh, I almost want to make you, I'm going to let you watch it. And it doesn't have to be in this, but I'm going to let you watch it, actually, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it would make sense. I think it's like 9 minutes long. Because you can edit that out. But basically, she talks about how, like, not only is she not an inspiration, but like her just getting up, like, it's kind of looking at what they always say, like, don't look at the disability, look at the ability. We have all these quotes, all that stuff, but it's that same concept.
To change the perspective of it. Yeah.
And what I'm getting at, which we'll jump back into this, is I think, and once again, this makes me sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but something that I take a lot of pride in and what I look at is when my students, I don't look at them like they are special, like they have special needs, right?
No.
Like, they're like every other kid, like I would ever teach and whatever. And I have high standards and high expectations.
Yeah.
And it's part of, and I don't know if it had a lot to do with this TED Talk or a lot of just like that mindset of like, if it has nothing to do with your disability, you're doing it.
Yeah.
We have this big, there's a big term that you learn about in all of education, but specifically in special education. It's called learned helplessness. And it's something that I take it's something it's in what I call my teacher philosophy. It's something I take strides and really thrive to not do for my students, which is basically learned helplessness means that, like, perfect example, we may have a kid that's in a wheelchair, right? And they may struggle with writing, but they have the ability to write.
Yeah.
They have someone that keeps coming over and helping them write because they think that they can't write.
And they're not gonna,
they're going to keep learning that, if I just sit here and act like I'm not going to do it, that someone's going to come do it for me.
Yeah.
And like, that's a thing that, can go off into life. That's just a small concept, but that's something for me that I'm a big, and societally, and she hits on this, I can't remember, and I'm going to botch this, how she says it. And it's really great where it's like, societally, we are disabled by a society versus like actually being disabled by their disability. Right. Yeah. And it's true. We've all done it. Like what my dad has done, going up to someone that's in a wheelchair or something and being like, you're such an inspiration. He means all well by that. Everyone means all well by that. But what you're basically saying is celebrating.
We need to see how it's perceived by that person.
Like what we're celebrating is that you got up today.
Yeah.
And you're doing what we're all doing.
Yeah.
And what, like, that shouldn't, it's
Which, if we're going to celebrate that in all of us,
And that's the whole thing, right? And that, you know, so it's a back and forth concept, but it's a really cool thing because it really helped me with my mindset. And that's where, once again, where I think I have a calling for what I'm doing though. Like like I've told you this all the time, children's tears are so empowering, right? Like that sounds so evil, but like, I mean that in like a sense, like I know when I've made a child cry, when I say that I don't make children cry, like I'm not like, nah, you need to cry, but like
you need to cry.
Yeah, I know that. Like I
cry
really,
for Miss Ashley.
like like you know, not those fake tears. That's another thing. I know fake tears. Like no, it is those real tears. Like I know that means like it meant something to them, or me being upset with them, or the expectations I've put. Really, like they get it. They understand. So I don't know. You're like.
Not right now, Pot. He's over here chewing. I think he's gonna just keep doing it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
So that's something for me. Like I have people, other coworkers and things like that. Like I'm sure they see me with my students and they think I am so hard on them. But once again, I am hard out of love. Yeah. Like I would not. I know these kids. I know I write their IEPs, which is individual education plans, by the way. If you don't know SPED, once again, SPED, special ed, we talk in a lot of acronyms.
Yeah. I feel like, a lot of jobs have acronyms that unless you're in those jobs.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. Like I know these kids, I know what they can do and what they can't do. And I would never do anything. I just want to challenge them. That's it. I always put it in the mindset of if this was my child. Yeah. Because I don't have kids. That's the biggest thing too. I don't have kids. And so I always put in the mindset of this is my child. How would I want someone to teach them or to treat them or to do that? So not only with love, but with expectations. Yeah. Like, have you ever had a coach or even a teacher, but really like a coach that was such a hard ass on you? Yeah. I mean, yeah. But was your favorite coach?
I mean, I used to do, especially when I was doing like one-on-one workouts in different sports. Yeah. And I mean, they push you and they push you for a reason. So I think, one thing in this is I know, I don't remember. I was probably watching some TED talk or something.
I'm listening to everything.
But the statistic that they brought up was they did a study where they took two groups of kids. One of them, they told them that they could learn. Okay. One of them, they told them, they didn't tell them that. I don't know that they didn't. I don't know that they specifically told them they couldn't learn.
But they just probably didn't say anything. There was no encouragement.
There was no positive, right? Yeah. And so the grades are the ones that were told that they could learn, even though both of them started out the same place, not good grades, right? Went up, the ones that, right? And so I think, in this sometimes, and I think this also kind of plays into this, learned helplessness and all these things, is that if we get the belief that we can't learn, right? Yep. Then that is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely. And it's like, you can say so many quotes, right? Like it's not failing until you stop trying, all that stuff, but it's really real because
it's real.
And actually it goes really back to, and it was my favorite thing to teach at the high school level, which is fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Yeah. Have you ever looked into that? It's a great concept. I mean, it's like kind of like half the, I can, the way I would explain it to my high school students was, the glass is half full versus glass half empty, right? You got a fixed mindset. You are fixated on like, this is just what it is. Nothing's going to change, whatever. That glass is half empty and that's it. You got a growth mindset. It is, that is a half full glass. And listen, it's not failing until you stop trying. I'm going to keep doing it. And that same concept goes back into what they call neuroplasticity. Yep. And really cool concept, right? But, there's so much research that shows like you actually make more connections in the brain and learn more when you make mistakes. And that's actually true because you have to think of it. Like I always think of it visually. When you get a math problem wrong, right? I always use math just because I sucked at math. Like you get a math problem wrong, right? What do you have to do? You have to then go back, like they tell you it's wrong. I need you to go back and redo it. Well, then you have to go back. So you figure out what was wrong. That's one connection that you've just made. Yep. You figure out why that was wrong. That's another connection. Then you have to learn, how do I make it the right way? Yeah. That's then a third or fourth, whatever. I don't know how many connections wrong. And then you get the right answer. You have just made so many different little like wires in your brain, right? Yeah. You get it right. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, there was no,
it's this whole, like, it is. I mean, really. It's pretty cool. And so I love the whole concept of neuroplasticity. And it's just, our brain is meant to kind of be pushed and challenged in a way. A lot of people don't know this. I mean, people who are close to me do. I did college was really hard for me.
Really? Yeah.
Really hard for me. I didn't get into my education program the first time.
Okay.
And I could have actually easily just walked out. I almost did. I almost dropped out of college a couple times because it was hard for me. When I say that, I'm a smart person, but like I have test anxiety. I have bad
Okay. Yeah, I know people who.
And then you have my brother on the other end that he cannot pay attention the whole time and ace everything. We are completely on.
That's kind of how I was. Yeah.
And it actually, he's seen me like.
But I didn't do any homework or apply myself, so.
And I would try so hard, and and when I say that, like I just had, I put a lot of pressure on myself to just do good. And looking back on now, that's what it was. It's the pressure to do well is just what it was. But I am that definition of what I always say, like standardized achievement does not actually, or standardized like testing or anything like that does not correlate at all with actual like intellectual like achievement and things like that. Like,
I don't think there's a test that could.
No, and
I don't even believe an IQ test.
Well, that's the thing is it's
right, because then you get into, well, what is intelligence? You know,
yes,
right. That's a very deep question.
Yes, and there's a lot. We talk about that a lot with special education. So that's I have a little different outlook. And I think once again, that brings me back to why I'm a teacher. Like I could have stopped. And I feel like once again, this makes me sound like I'm tooting my horn because it's not that. My parents had a lot to do with it. My brother, my family, they had a lot of doing like, listen, it's not failing until you stop trying.
Yeah.
Like you got to keep doing it and you're meant to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So here we are, special ed. So back to your sacrifice question.
Yeah.
Guess great. So I got way off though, because
you're doing great.
It doesn't have to be teaching. I think as long as it has something to do with helping. I mentor a lot of the interns, the UT program.
I think as long as you're dealing with people and helping them,
I think I would be fine.
You would be fine.
I think I would. I think that's where my fulfillment comes from. And that was my favorite thing when I got interviewed for jobs. I'm one of those weird people.
Is that stressful for you? Because you get like test anxiety with an interview?
That's what's hilarious. Now, remember though, like I was manager at Whiskey Works for a long, long time. And I was the hiring and training manager. So I did a lot of interviews there.
So yeah, from the other side.
Yeah. So I actually, and that was the other thing is I really enjoyed being an interviewer and an interviewee because like I was never, once again, something I take a lot of pride in. I have had a lot of mentors in life, whether it been managers, teachers, things like that, that I will never, whether they've been good or bad, I always take away from it something. Yeah. And I've had some really shitty managers.
But that's good.
And I have made sure, and that's something that I take pride into, like I have made sure to learn from that stuff and I will actively act the opposite way. So like I have fun in interviews. Like, so I enjoy to interview people. Like if I see someone nervous, like I'm not that one that sticks, like I do everything in my power in that interview to make it like so calm, cool,
comfortable,
collected, because there's nothing fun about being in that position. But no, so it's funny. I actually love being interviewed because I also get into this mindset of the cocky in me is going to come out of, I'm interviewing you just as much as you're interviewing me, right? So this is me. If you don't like it, then I clearly don't need to be at this position. And guess what? Because of my issues in college and having doors slammed in my face and I still succeeded, I have such a mindset of there is so many doors. I just gotta find them and open them. Yeah. And I know that's like so like, oh, Miss America, like world peace, but it's true. Like,
but I think it's more true than most people realize for everyone.
Well,
like, I think I'm not saying that there aren't people who, I mean, there's certain like I have no college degree. There's certain doors I cannot get in.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that there's not more doors than I'm aware of. Right.
And I think that's exactly what it's at. And it's looking back on it, I hated that time in my life.
Yeah.
Like it was such a depressive state. Like I felt so defeated. To feel so defeated, like I'm wanting to be a teacher. Yeah. And I can't even get through like, and when I say college, it wasn't even that. Like it was just all of the bullshit you have to do. And I don't even want to get into that. It was just a lot. And just to pay for like, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And to like, but like I said, now when you're out of it, you get to go, oh my gosh, I did it.
Yeah.
I can do this anytime.
Yeah.
That is it. That's it. So I just feel like, just like you said, anything I want to do, I can do it. That sounds so lame and like kind of cliche, but like the growth mindset in me is big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Growth mindset is real big on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I do think you have to be able to believe that you can go somewhere. Like whenever I, you know, because like I'm someone who I've struggled with depression a lot.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh yeah. And like whenever I find I'm really depressed, basically I'm stagnant, and I don't. And even though other people may believe that I can accomplish more, I do not believe.
And it's all about really matters. It's you, and that's the hardest part, right?
Right? Yeah, because like, you know, look, you may, blah blah blah, yeah, but I'm spending 24 hours with this voice in my head, right? That's saying.
Do you think this has helped you?
Yeah, I mean, so I think one of the big things that I think helped me was. I think just writing and art in general.
Okay.
Kind of being artistic, in the sense of it allowed me to look at it from different perspectives, just my own life, what was going on, in a way that I was then able to, you know, move forward with.
Almost like look at it.
It was yeah. So
from like an outside,
which is something that. Okay, in comedy, I think this is something that is often done.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
Because, you know, tragedy, right?
Yes.
Happening to you. You zoom out.
You're right.
And you're watching it. Comedy.
You're right. It is.
Totally
Most comedians, it is. They'll talk about that. Like, they're pretty depressive.
Because, well, and I mean,
and you make a joke out of it, too. It's
a way to, you know, to deal with it and to move on. And so... But yeah, no, I definitely, because like I really haven't dealt with depression now in like 6 months.
That's nice, and you know
what? Which is very strange for me.
Well, you know, I wonder. Once again, Jim Shepperd's coming up again. Something my dad said to me, and this could be for like another podcast, that something happened in my life, which we'll talk off of the camera about, because I think this would be a great platform for it. But something my dad always told me about a situation that's happened in my life was, you know, you don't always have to talk about it. And it was very fresh for me that something had happened. And he's like, but at a certain point, Ashley, he's like, I encourage you to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And he said for multiple reasons. One, for yourself, but, you know, it's therapeutic to get that out.
Absolutely.
But actually, he was like, the more, you'll be surprised, Ashley, that the more
people connect with it.
Not only connect, they could be completely different stories, but everyone who's felt like pain or hurt or depression, like they know, right? But not only that, then you may find someone that feels the same way, and it's terrible, but it's also great. You understanding that, like, we all feel this way, makes you feel better. And not only that, though, it's kind of like, and I go back to the vagina monologues. Do you know about the vagina monologues? No. When I say that, it's not about the whole concept.
I've heard dick talks, but
well, like, and I once again don't know the whole concept behind it. Like, it goes back, there's a Broadway show, but the cool thing about vagina monologues, and it gets me on this topic of the whole concept of the book was, you know, this woman interviewed so many different women, like prostitutes, older women, people that have been sex slaves,
all walks,
just like random stuff. And like they did monologues and interviewed them. But either way, her whole thing was about how, because gosh, when this came out, it was a long time ago, that we don't talk about vaginas. And when I say that, it's not something that we shouldn't as women not talk about, but really, once again, it's not just about that. The whole concept of, we have so many of these things that as a society have been told we can't talk about. And so you almost feel like this like cage. But when you actually start talking about it, you realize how many fucking people
don't react in the terrible way that you're worried they might.
Yes. And it's like, it's
I'm not
such
saying
a
they never do,
thing.
But generally they don't.
Yeah, and you're right. You're going to have people are just assholes.
There might still be,
we're humans.
But honestly, that just might be how they react to anything.
Exactly.
Right? You know?
And so it is a cool concept of just, and so rolling back to what you said, I did wonder if doing this podcast was great, because not only that, for you to be therapeutic, but just to be able to hear other people.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure people have told you things that like you had never heard and like you wouldn't, because one, it's not that's a bad thing, but what's cool about podcasts too is like it gives you that opportunity. Like there's a lot of things like that, balding my hair, I don't hide that.
Yeah.
But unless you're like, hey Ashley, you've been balding lately, like
you're molting.
Yeah, like hey, you got like, unless you saw it, like
it's not gonna just come up. Yeah.
Like when would you ever say that? Like it's ridiculous.
But Miranda might be balding. I don't know. You know? Maybe she needed to hear that.
Okay, I have to pee, but I really want you to watch this TED Talk. Only because it will totally, it's random.
You're such an idiot. Anyway, I feel like we got enough time. You know, there's only so much they're gonna watch, so let's get into the closing.
You're just sick of hearing my voice. It's fine.
I mean, that's mostly what it is. Yeah, I'm blaming it on them, but really, I'm just like, I got things to do, like stare at a wall.
I'm used to this pain.
Yeah. So, but I do seriously appreciate you coming on here. Like, I appreciate you. Like, I love you. You are so funny to me.
Stop it.
Like, you are. Like I told you, like, you remind me of Eliza Schlesinger.
Yes, that's a compliment,
like,
man.
Your faces and everything and how...
it's just
you
weird.
You are so fun.
I'm a bridge troll.
you are a bridge troll, but no, I love you.
Thank you. I love you, and I'm really happy that you asked me to do this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but the way we close out the show is... tell me about someone that's been an inspiration to you. Brag on someone for a minute.
Oh, that's hard because there's a lot of people.
Well, then you can name multiple people. It doesn't have to be one.
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this. I should have been prepared for this.
Well,
who's an inspiration to me? Well, I feel like I'll just do this. Once again, it's going to break my mom's heart because I've talked about him a lot in this. My dad, Jim Shepperd. You're an inspiration. Yeah, especially because we talk about all the teacher stuff too. I think he's a good parent, and anytime he's messed up on something, he's admitted it. It's just been both my parents, really. We'll just put both of them in there, mom and dad.
Yeah.
They are a great...
She doesn't deserve to have her name said, apparently.
Well,
it's mom.
Penny.
Jim Shepperd and mom.
No, we use Jim Shepperd as like it's a token in our friend group. Like it's like
it's a thing.
You
it's
go
a
like,
whole thing.
Gosh, I sound like Jim Shepperd right now. Like it's like a thing. It's a... If you ever, which I don't know, have you met them?
I don't know. Possibly for a moment.
Maybe, but yeah, it's a thing. So Penny, no, I am very blessed to have two amazing role models that happen to be my parents. And I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them, especially with all those doors shutting. So they're an inspiration.
All right.
What about you, Poppy? Maybe you're my inspiration.
I don't think so. To Jim and Penny.
Yeah, to Jim and Penny.
All right.
Take a drink.
Well, that's it. Till next time, kids. Deadbeat Dad, over and out.